Understand what a blow it is to a lifelong fisherman whose vocation and whose livelihood depends on catching fish, to come in the morning with nothing to show for his labors? Peter, Andrew, James, and John all depended on catching fish overnight to supply the necessary things for their families. And when you come in after working hard and you have nothing to show for it, that's kind of frustrating, isn't it? More than that, Peter, Andrew, James, and John, they were fishermen. This was their job, yes, but they were fishermen and they were sons of fishermen. This was the family business. This was how they identified themselves. And I think you can understand that, right? Because if somebody asks you what you do for your living, you don't say, well, I do this. You say, I am this, right? When somebody says, so, John, what do you do for a living? I don't say, well, I pastor. I do pastoring. No, I say, I am a pastor. I have my identity locked up with what I do, right? And doctors do the same thing, and engineers do the same thing, and even grandmas do the same thing, and parents do the same thing. We lock up our identities in what we do. And if you're a lifelong fisherman who comes from a fisherman's family, and your identity is wrapped up in catching fish, and you come home in the morning with absolutely nothing, your identity is shattered. Because you realize that you're not in control, and maybe you don't know how to supply for your family, and maybe things aren't going to work out all that well. Added to that, what do you have? You have a carpenter coming to you, and the son of a carpenter coming to you, telling you, a lifelong fisherman, how to do your job. And more than that, it's stupid. This carpenter's coming to me, a lifelong fisherman who's been out all night. I know how to do this fishing thing. And he's telling me to go out in midday into deep water. Come on! More than that, I just spent hours cleaning my stupid nets because I'm frustrated, and now you're asking me to go get my nets dirty again, so now I got to go out there, catch nothing, come back and wash those nets again. And you know what? When it gets dark, I got to go back out. I need some sleep too. Do you kind of see how this picture is running around here? And I bet you can identify with it, can't you? Because not all the time does your life go the way that you plan it to go, does it? And sometimes you run around losing your identity due to some circumstances that happen in your life. You lose your job and you go trying to find another job and trying to find another job, and it's frustrating, and you're toiling and you're laboring. You identified yourself as a wife or as a husband. That is who I am. And that relationship gets shattered. And now you don't know who you are anymore. You consider yourself, I am a healthy person, and then a sickness comes and terrifies your body, and you realize you're not in control. And you labor, and you toil, and you get frustrated. And then Jesus Christ comes to you and says things to you that just make you irritated. Because when you don't know how to pay the bills and the credit cards are piling up and you don't have a job and you don't have any way to support your family, Jesus Christ comes and he says something insane like, do not worry, for my Father knows what you need. And you say, but Jesus, I have to worry. It's my job to worry right now. Because somebody's got to think about this, and you just sit there and say, don't worry. Say, that's insane, Jesus. or a relationship is torn asunder and you lose all sense of who you are because you don't know what happened to that relationship and you thought you had a great relationship and it's awful now, and Jesus comes and says something insanely ridiculous like, forgive that person as I have forgiven you. And you say, come on, Jesus. I get it, all right? You want me? But that's crazy. I can't forgive that person. I've tried, and it just didn't work. And I'm tired, and I'm frustrated because I keep casting that net out there, and they're not biting, and I'm tired of it. We say, Master, how can you ask me something so ridiculous? See, we know how it is, don't we? We know how it is. And yet time and time again, as we live our lives in our frustration and in the terrors that we have, and we don't know which end is up and we don't know what to do, and Jesus comes to us in His Word and He tells us what we should do, and we look at Him and we say, you're an idiot, Jesus. What do we realize at that moment? We realize just how sinful we are, don't we? You see, but Peter had that moment, right? Master, we've been out all night and haven't caught anything. And he's frustrated and he's tired. But then he says something because something switches in his brain, right? Something clicks as he looks at the one who's telling him to do this ridiculously stupid thing. And he sees this one who he has been told is the Messiah, the Savior of the world, who he has heard teaching and preaching about the salvation of God, who he has witnessed do miracles. And he looks at him, and his attitude shifts, and he says, it's ridiculous, but because you say so, I will do it. Do you hear that? That's our first lesson in a deeper relationship and a deeper discipleship to our Savior. And if you're a fill-in-the-blank type of person, that's number one. Being a disciple of Jesus means that I trust Jesus' word, even if it doesn't match my reason. Even when it makes no sense to me and I don't really want to do it and I think that I'm just at my rope's end and I cannot do it anymore, if Jesus Christ tells me in His Word the direction to go, even if it doesn't match my reason, I do it. Because I know who it is that's telling me to do it. It's Jesus. It's Master. It's the one who does miracles. It's the true God who does not lie. It's the loving Savior who came down to earth to pay for my sins. And if He's going to pay for my sins, He's going to take care of me in every other situation. And so if He tells me, don't worry, as insane as it sounds, because I think I have to worry, otherwise I'm not paying attention, then I don't worry, because I trust Jesus even if it doesn't make sense to my reason. And if He says, keep forgiving, even though I'm tired of it and exasperated about it, I keep forgiving because Jesus is the one telling me. And I can trust His word. And every promise that Jesus gives to me and every word of direction that Jesus gives to me, as ridiculous as sometimes it seems to me, I can trust and I can do because I know who it is that's telling me to do